It was a sunny Saturday afternoon when I decided to visit my favorite Starbucks for a cup of coffee. Sitting by the window, I could enjoy a rich latte while watching the bustling streets of Washington. The cafe wasn't too crowded, almost all the seats were taken, yet it still felt cozy and inviting. I ordered a large latte and found a spot by the window. At first I didn't notice anything unusual, everything seemed as normal as ever. As I was savoring my coffee, a young man in a Starbucks uniform approached me. He looked to be in his 20s with neatly trimmed short hair and a friendly smile. "Hello, sir," he said warmly. "We have a special promotion today. If you leave your phone number, we'll give you a free coffee coupon." The offer caught me off guard, but his uniform and confident demeanor made me think nothing of it. "Sure," I replied. "That sounds great." I gave him my phone number, and he thanked me politely before walking away. Time passed, and I finished my coffee, ready to leave. When I went to the counter to pay, I casually asked the barista about the promotion. To my surprise, her response made me uneasy. "We don't have any promotions today, and we haven't asked any employees to collect phone numbers," she said with a puzzled look. I felt a pang of unease but brushed it off, thinking it might have been an enthusiastic part-timer with his own marketing ideas. I returned home and soon forgot about the incident, immersing myself in the rest of my weekend. However, this was just the beginning. That evening, my phone started buzzing with calls and texts from unknown numbers. At first, I assumed they were ordinary spam calls and ignored them. But as time went on, the harassment became more frequent. The messages turned increasingly explicit and threatening, with some even revealing personal details about my life, which terrified me. The following days were a nightmare. Every time my phone rang, my heart would race. Finally, I decided to take action. I went to the local police station, explained my situation, and handed over screenshots of the harassing messages. The police took my statement and suggested I contact Starbucks management to see if they could identify the imposter. Early the next morning, I returned to the Starbucks and spoke to the manager, describing what had happened. The manager's face turned serious, and he immediately pulled up the surveillance footage from that day. We could clearly see the man approaching my table and talking to me, but strangely, he hadn't come from the back room, nor had he interacted with any other employees. "He's not one of our employees," the manager said calmly. "We've never seen this person before." Hearing this, a chill ran down my spine. Who was this person? Why did he pose as a Starbucks employee to get my phone number? My mind was flooded with questions and fear. The manager suggested I contact the police again and provide the surveillance footage as evidence. When I got home, I immediately called the police and described the new developments. They assured me they would investigate further and advised me to stay vigilant. Despite this, I felt no sense of security. Every night, I double-checked the locks on my doors and windows, always feeling like someone was watching me. The harassing messages kept coming, their content becoming more vile and threatening. There were even nights when I heard strange footsteps outside my window, each step pounding like a drum in my heart. The police investigation was slow. They informed me that the person had left no obvious clues, making it extremely difficult to track him down. The phone numbers he used were disposable virtual numbers, making it hard to trace his real identity. As time went on, my life was on the verge of collapse. I was too afraid to go out alone and even moved in with a friend, hoping to escape this nightmare. My friends were shocked and outraged by my ordeal and tried their best to comfort me, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Just when I thought the nightmare would never end, there was a breakthrough. One morning, I received a call from the police. They told me they had arrested a suspect in a series of raids who was involved in multiple cases of online fraud and harassment. Among his possessions, they found information on many victims, including me. The police said the suspect was the man who had posed as a Starbucks employee. He used his disguise and clever tactics to obtain personal info from numerous people, harassing and extorting them. My case was just one of his many crimes, and he likely chose me simply because I happened to be there that day. 2 years ago, on a crisp autumn afternoon in Atlanta, I decided to spend a few leisurely hours at my local Starbucks. It was a ritual akin to portioning a warm cup of coffee while diving into a good book or catching up on work. The cafe wasn't too crowded, but it wasn't empty either, providing the perfect atmosphere for relaxation. I ordered a large cappuccino and found a seat by the window. Sunlight streamed through the glass, casting a warm, inviting glow on the table. I opened my laptop, ready to tackle some overdue emails. Before long, my phone rang. It was an important work call. I picked up my phone and stepped outside to a quiet spot to take the call. The call turned out to be more complex than I anticipated, and lasted about 20 minutes. When I hung up and returned to my seat, I noticed something odd about my coffee cup. Although it was still the same paper cup, its position was slightly different from where I had left it. I felt a vague sense of unease but couldn't pinpoint exactly why. Feeling slightly uneasy, I sat down to continue my work. But each time I lifted the cup to take a sip, my apprehension grew stronger. Ultimately, I decided not to drink the coffee. My intuition told me it was better to be safe than sorry. The next morning, I woke up feeling unwell, had nausea, and extreme fatigue. At first, I thought it was just a common cold, but as the symptoms worsened, I began to suspect it might be related to the coffee. The thought terrified me. I decided to return to Starbucks and explain the situation to the manager. The manager took my concerns seriously and immediately pulled up the surveillance footage from when I left my seat. We watched as an unknown man approached my table during my absence. He glanced around, making sure no one was watching, then quickly swapped my coffee cup with another one. The whole process took less than a minute, but he seemed very composed. Seeing this, my heart nearly stopped. The manager promptly called the police and handed over the surveillance footage. The police arrived, took my statement in detail, and questioned other customers and staff. Meanwhile, I was taken to the hospital for examination. The test revealed that there were indeed some abnormal chemicals in my system. The doctor said I was lucky because I had only taken a small sip. A few more could have had serious consequences. The police investigation began, and they identified the stranger from the footage. He wasn't a regular at Starbucks and seemed to have chosen me as a target deliberately. As the investigation progressed, the police discovered that he was involved in several similar cases, targeting customers who drank alone with unclear intentions. Eventually, the man was arrested during a police raid. Through interrogation, it was confirmed that he was a repeat offender who had often drugged people in public places for purposes including extortion, theft, and other criminal activities. He chose locations like Starbucks because of the high foot traffic, making it easier to blend in. When I decided to spend my Saturday afternoon at Starbucks, my main goal was to enjoy a steaming latte and take advantage of their free Wi-Fi. That day, I crossed bustling streets and eagerly stepped into the familiar aroma-filled cafe. Inside Starbucks, the atmosphere was as lively as ever, with customers either chatting in groups or quietly enjoying their time alone. I found a quiet corner, opened my laptop, and prepared for a productive work session. Connecting to Wi-Fi seemed like a ritual in many modern cafes. I opened the Wi-Fi settings and found a network with what appeared to be the normal domestic Rubis Wi-Fi. Without hesitation, I clicked to connect, entered the password, and quickly established a connection. I began focusing on my work, handling emails and browsing the web. Time passed by, until I realized a detail that made me uneasy. I noticed that no matter which website I visited, my computer's upload and download speeds were unusually slow. I tried restarting my computer, reconnecting to Wi-Fi, and even adjusting some network settings, but the problem persisted. It was then that I started suspecting if I had connected to a disguised Wi-Fi network. I opened the network settings, checked the connected network name, and indeed found a slight variation in Starbucks, Wi-Fi and inconspicuous symbol added to it. Feeling a sinking sensation, I realized I might have fallen into a phishing trap. Quickly I disconnected, shutting down all network access on my computer, but it seemed like it was already too late. Shortly after, I began receiving a series of email notifications, each from banks and other online accounts I frequently use. They all showed unauthorized access attempts, with some successful unauthorized fund transfers and transactions. My heart raced, and I felt at a loss. I immediately contacted my bank and other service providers, reporting the compromised accounts and unauthorized fund transfers. They advised me to change all passwords immediately and provided further security recommendations. Taking a deep breath, I started to gather my thoughts. I had to take action to prevent further losses. I contacted the Starbucks staff, informing them that someone might be engaged in illegal activities on their network. They assured me they would promptly contact their technical support team to investigate and address any potential issues. Several hours later, after difficult phone calls and online interactions, my bank account was finally frozen, and some of the stolen funds were successfully recovered. Though the loss was significant, I had managed to avoid more serious consequences. This experience deeply impressed upon me the importance of cybercustody in modern life. I learned to choose Wi-Fi connections more cautiously and to remain vigilant, avoiding becoming a victim of cybercrime again. Though I couldn't confirm exactly who orchestrated the attack afterwards, The impact of this incident was profound. Every time I walk into Starbucks and see people busy connecting to Wi-Fi, I am reminded of that unforgettable afternoon and the unsettling experience I went through.